Hi guys, and welcome back. So it has been a whirlwind of a month, let me just tell you. Today we are going over seed starting. This is coming out like 2 weeks late for me. I actually started working night shift about a month ago. And so when it was time to start my seeds, like I was half dead on my feet throwing my seeds in. So I did not get to actually show you me doing it, but that's not gonna matter. I've rectified that. So I have a list of all the things I have 8 different points that I'm gonna go over today. And if at any time you want something, you want me to elaborate more on something, then by all means leave a comment down below of that topic that you want me to go over more, and I will do an additional video. If I only have like one person wanting something, I may just comment down, like respond down below. But if I have enough different things, then I'll just do a second video. So no worries if something's not explained enough to your liking. I am not in any way, shape, or form a professional, but this is something I've grown up, I've done it my whole life. I'm 31, and I grew up with gardening, so I feel pretty confident in what I'm doing. So, with that being said, let's go. Oh, I also have some things to show you of how to fix stuff if things don't go exactly how you have planned. So it all works out. So let's get started. The first thing that I want to go over is your grow zone. So you can go online and look up which zone you are in. I am in 6A. Technically, where my garden is can sometimes be 6B, but where I'm at right now is 6A, and I am planting stuff here and there. All that is it tells you when your last frost date is approximately and when your first frost date is approximately, which you need to know in order to put things in the ground and when to do your last harvest and get things up before the ground freezes or your plants freeze and then they're no good anymore. So that would be the first thing, because that's going to tell you when you need to start your seeds, what you're able to plant there, because you can't, of course, plant something that's only good down in Florida if you live up in Michigan, for instance. So unless you have a lot of special exceptions, like a very nice greenhouse, for instance, or something like that. And it's also, for instance, I have to start peppers and tomatoes and stuff inside. I can't just direct plant those because it's not a long enough growing season. So things like that. And so next, once you figure that out, on your seed packets, it's going to tell you a lot of the times what zone it's good for or what time to plant approximately. Okay, so I have a couple different varieties to show you the different things to look for. And I apologize if my nails look dirty. It is because of messing with the soil. So in my gardener is one brand. So on this, excuse me, on this one, it shows, if I can get it to focus, for this particular thing, it's cold tolerant, partial sun, full sun, container friendly. It tells you when to plant. And so that's like, or you can start indoors. For this is Baker Creek. It shows it's not frost hardy, the type of sun that it gets, and see if this says, but that one also doesn't say time or the zone. But you have the burpee, and it shows right there. So it's showing you that if you live, like I live in the green area, so I would want to transplant my orange well. This is the only hybrid that I have, by the way, in May to June, which is when my particular frost dates is May 10th. Just an idea on what you're wanting to look for. So some of the seeds aren't going to tell you, and then some of them are going to give you like a grasp. But you can go online and you can look up your zone, your growing zone, and then you can Google, when do I plant my plants? And it'll there's a lot of charts that'll tell you, like, you can plant, you know, these starting here, or start them indoors and then transplant and stuff like that. It's all open. Like I said, I'm in zone 6. I'll just say zone 6. So that's what I'm going off of when I'm planting my stuff. So the next thing I want to talk about is soil. So I am super cheap. So I have done, used last year's soil, like dumped all my old pots into a big pile, filled all my pods up, and started my seeds. I've done new soil. I have taken soil from my garden, thrown it in pots, and started seeds. And I've had success, but I've had the most success by actually using seed starter soil. This bag is $4.97 at Walmart, my Walmart. And I still have a third of a bag left, and I'll get ready and show you what I've filled up, but 3 big trays, or no, sorry, 2 trays. One tray has the peat pods in it, but so it goes a little ways, and you can, you know, rest assured that it's a nice, fluffy, light material for those seeds to really germinate and do well in. The problem with using like last year's soil or ground soil is it can be contaminated with bacteria and stuff that can harm your little seedlings because they're very delicate at this point. So that's why, like, better safe than sorry. If you're going to put in the time to do the seeds, just buy the soil. Buy a good quality soil. Now you can use potting soil. I've done that too. Back when I was first starting it for myself. So yeah, that's just my 2 cents on it. Try whatever you like. I've just had the best success using this, putting forth that extra bit of money for the long run. So there's that. Look at my list. What's next? Okay, pots. Let's go with pots. You can get a thing of 72 little pods for like $5, $5 or $10 to start your seeds. I suggest going a little bigger because the more you transplant, the less likely it is that that little seedling is going to succeed. You want to transplant the least amount of times as possible. So this year, with my tomatoes, for instance, you're going to see that they are actually in peat pods, that they were the 5 millimeter. And so I should be able to keep them. They're going to have to be transplanted out of the tray that they're in, but I should be able to keep them in that pod and not have to transplant them until they go in the garden. Fingers crossed. Because those are my most precious babies. But like my cauliflower and broccoli and everything else that's going to get transplanted into the ground, I have them in 2-inch trays. And then other things that I'm going to be doing are going to be in the 2 to 4 inch 2, 3, 4-inch trays or little pods. So I'm trying to start off just a little bigger so that they can last longer in one thing before needing to get transplanted, if they need to get transplanted. But I'm wanting to do like the least amount of transplanting as possible. So with that being said, let me see where I'm at. Okay, so the last thing I want to go over before actually showing you my plants is, oh, sorry. There's 2 things I want to go over. The first is lighting. So obviously if you have a nice greenhouse or something like that that's able to stay warm, you could start your seeds outside. Mine stays warm enough during the day, but at night it does not, and I do not have a way to heat it up other than what I did last year in the springtime, which was put hot water in a 5-gallon bucket and then shut it up, close it all up. And that worked well, but right now with temperatures being in the teens, that water is going to freeze before anything else. So it's not going to work. It worked during the day, but not at night. So I'm having to do mine inside. Now, this is my first year doing grow lights. I finally broke down and bought grow lights, and this is my second set because my first ones did not work like I was wanting. So long story short, the past few years, what I have done, since I have no south-facing windows, if you have a south-facing window or south-facing room with a lot of light, throw those bad boys in there. You may have to rotate them a little bit so that everything gets a good amount, but that would work great. I don't have that. So I was doing had a shelving unit on the east side window, and then I'd move it over to the west side window, and I did that all growing season last year. My husband thought I'd lost my mind, but it was for the plants. And I had good success, but it was a lot of work. And it got very tiresome very quickly. So this year I have grow lights. I had some that were, you can buy them off Amazon, but it had 3 different spindle things that flexed and moved down, and it worked well, but the range wasn't great. So what I have now, the range is great. They go well over my entire trays. However, I can't get them down close enough to my seedlings. So the way that you're wanting to do those, which do your own research, but when you're first starting out and planting them, you want that light really close to your seedlings so they don't get spindly and weak. And then you gradually raise your light so that as your plants grow, you're not going to burn your plants, and they get to stay strong and not get spindly, which you'll see some of mine are spindly just because of me switching my lights, but they're almost to the height now to where they're good with my grow lights. So I'm not worried about them because the ones that are spindly are going to get transplanted anyway, and that's how you can save a spindly plant. As simple as that. You replant it, which is what I'm getting ready to do. I just have to buy potting soil to transplant now that they're because they're strong. They're not, I don't think I have any spindly weak ones. I might, but mine are tall, but they are strong, so I'm not worried about them at all. And so I'll go over the rest of the stuff when I show you watering and overwatering. With seedlings, do not overwater. You just saw my finger there. You want to, okay, so these have been in the ground or in their little pods for 2 weeks, and I have watered them 1 additional time. I only have to water them about once a week. I'll probably have to start doing it more now that I have my lids tinted, but whenever my little greenhouse lids were down, that moisture stays in there, and you do not need to water them. Watering your seedlings is going to cause them to rot. So you definitely don't want to do that. And then with the greenhouse lids, you can sometimes get mold, especially if you overwater. That's perfectly normal. I was that person when I first started doing these. I had the white mold, and I was also overwatering. And I was like scraping all my little seedlings. Okay. All my little seedlings trying to get this little white mold off. That white mold is not going to hurt your seedlings at all. And 9 times out of 10, it just goes away. Okay, so here is my plant setup. So these are all, you can see everything is tinted. But these are all my tomatoes. And I just lost my little tinter. But these are all my little tomatoes, and everything germinated. I got these at Dollar Tree, by the way. And me and my friend actually did a little test, and alcohol will take whatever you write on them off. So they are reusable. So it was a 10-pack for $1. But, no, that's not going to work. Anyway. Everything, absolutely everything germinated except for my Bonnie Best, which those were really old. They had gotten light on, or air and light and everything else. But these are all really healthy little seedlings. Let me get you. So nothing is spindly. If you have this happening, that means you need to adjust your lights because it is moving towards the light. So anything like that, you want to move around, which I move my lighting. I can move it this way, and then I will also rotate this around just to make sure everything is getting a good amount of light. But so over here, you can see, which these of course came up quicker, but they are tall, but they're not spindly. I'm trying to find, I don't see a spindly one. Like one that's weak. Because like this one already has 2 separate little sprouts going and 4 sets of leaves. And then my artichokes, those are perfect back there. I have my green globe and my red star. Both of them are going. I'm starting to get little peppers. There's a little pepper back there. Peppers take about 2 weeks. But these are all looking, there's a little spindly one right there. So where, like, it's just, I don't know what it's doing. But, so on the note of your seedlings, when you're planting, you want to do 1 to 2 seeds per pod. And then what you're supposed to do, which let me try to do one, is whenever they get, well, I'll do that one because it just fell over. When they get 2 leaves on them, 2 sets of leaves, you want to choose the strongest looking one and pluck the other one. Let's see if I can do this one handed. There. So you want to get it all by the root and then pluck it. Now, I have something to say about that. You're supposed to discard that one. I cannot do that. Like all of these, because some of these I think I've accidentally put in 3, like right here. My black brandy one, I have 3, but all of them look, the Black Prince, I have 3. I'm going to be transplanting all those. I am that person that cannot throw away a perfectly good seedling just because it tells me to. So I'm going to have many more tomatoes than what I had originally planned, just because if the seedling looks good, I'm going to transplant it. So just know that that's what you're going to read, is to like weed out the small ones and make it to where it's 1 per pot, which yes, you want to make it 1 per pot, but you can totally transplant that seedling into a different pot, which is what I will be doing. So like this one though, I'm going to get rid of that one. But what you want to do if you are going to save the seedling to do a different, like to put it in a different pot, you're going to want to make sure you get that root system. You don't want, because if you break it off like right here, it's going to die. You want to make sure you get the root and then work with it the least amount as possible. And then for like a spindly, I can show you right here because this is dead. So when you're transplanting a spindly plant, you take it, you make your hole. Remember, don't touch the roots. It's really hard to do with one hand. But essentially, I broke it. You cover it up to where it's no longer spindly. So like that. It's not going to hurt it. You just want to make your hole big enough or like deep enough to hold all the spindly part, and then make it to where just a little bit of the stem is sticking up out of the ground. And then make sure not to overwater so that you don't cause it to rot. Just a little bit of water, and then it'll start growing normal as long as it's underneath the right light. And over here is the same way. Like, all these are yellow pear tomatoes, which were so delicious last year. They're all getting transplanted because you can see that one's even getting a third little leaf. And then these are all my eggplants. I'm going to replant all those. Let's see. Oh, my celery started coming up. Those were a little late, but those are going to be going in the ground. And then all my broccolis and my cauliflower. This was the second. These were just done last Sunday, so last week. And they are already coming up because I staggered my cauliflower because I'm going to be freezing that and eating it fresh. So I wanted to make sure not to overload myself. Same with broccoli. And then celery is going to get froze or used fresh. But that's talking about the seedlings. So you can either, whenever they, you know, get 2 or more leaves on, you can either just weed out and throw away, or you can do what I do and end up with 10,000 plants and replant the way that I showed you. It was a bad showing because I did it one-handed, but you get the gist that you make your hole big enough, deep enough to hold your spindly seedling, and then you just make it to where it's not spindly anymore, and then it will grow the right way 9 times out of 10. If you mess with the roots too much, it will die sometimes, and yes, that is a fork. The reason, let me tell you why I did this. Obviously, when they get too tall, you want to raise the lid or take the lid off. My house is too cold for them to be completely like let loose into the elements yet. They're not strong enough. So I do still tent it, and it will still hold moisture and heat underneath it. And then I have a heater going. I don't know if the video will pick it up or not, but I do have a heater going in here just to make sure that they stay around 65 degrees in their little 65 in their little pod. So that's about everything. So just to recap, know where you're growing, like what area you're in, so that you know when to start your seeds. So my cauliflower, broccoli, artichokes, Brussels sprouts, celery, all those are my early spring planting because they are all cold hardy or cold tolerant or frost tolerant. So they are going to get transplanted outside into either the ground or pots in the greenhouse. And then they're going to flourish from there, and I will bring you along for that. The peppers and tomatoes are going to be in here until late spring, where I will start acclimating them out into the weather during warm days. and then bringing them back in or inside the greenhouse, depending on what the weather is. And then those will go into the ground. But any type of transplanting, I will bring you along for. And then when you are planting into your pods, make sure you're using a good soil. Do, 1 to 3. It says 1 to 2, but sometimes, as you see, I do 3. Plus, if they're really tiny seeds, well, it's up in the air at that point. How many seeds go in the little hole or the little pod. But plant them per the specifications. And then once you get 2 leaves, that's when you want to, quote, weed. And that would be either just pulling one of the weaker one out and throwing it away, or transplanting it into another pot. And then make sure you have good lighting so that things don't get spindly. Ow! Or, hey, let go of Mommy's cereal. Or, yes, a heart. You can, if they do get spindly, you can replant them, and they will, 9 times out of 10, grow correctly after that. Again, as long as you have good lighting. So I tried to make this as well-rounded of plant starting as I could. If I missed anything, or if you have any questions, please let me know down in the comments. Like I said, I'm wanting to bring you along for all this. And I apologize for not getting like the video, because I wanted to show you a video of me planting them, but it really isn't much to see. Most of them were either surface planted or done a 1/4 inch underneath the soil. But I think this was actually a little more informational, because I got to show you like how to replant a spindly plant, which I can do that a little better whenever I replant some of these outside. I'll be able to better show you how to deal with that. But like I said, I gave you a little example and you got the gist, I think. So, I'll quit talking. I hope you enjoyed this informational type gardening video. I hope everyone that has started plants is having great success so far. I know, like I said, except for the Bonnie Best, which were my least worried about tomato anyway, everything has germinated 100% almost. So I think it's going to be a really good gardening year. So yeah, let me know how your gardening is doing. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you all on my next video. Thanks for watching.